from what we see, that over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, that the health of short track racing has gained momentum to a point that we've really, at times, kind of oversaturated any given area with too many options for people to race, and it made each division, each sanctioning body with less cars. But you know, any given Saturday night, you go to a racetrack, you see more people in the grandstands and more campers camping at the track, and more participants in all the divisions in the infield. So definitely the health of short track racing has gained momentum over the last 3-4 years.
Before you go too far, I would set that other there and see how it's going to match.
Don't matter. We're going to cut all them door bars out anyway, so it'll fit.
I was wondering if it'd do it for the same thing.
It won't. It probably won't, but
doors are cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, then use a piece of 2x4 up against it and then beat on the 2x4. Oh man, the type of person I am, quiet and detail-oriented, goal-oriented. I set very lofty goals and sometimes unattainable, but it makes it more of a challenge to get there. I left home when I was 23 with the goal to just come down here and make a living in racing somehow. And you know, we're whatever, 25 years later, 26 years later. And you know, we're sitting here, so probably the best way to describe myself is I bet on myself. I left home with, you didn't have an option, failure didn't work, right? I had $4,000 in my bank account and no job, and it wasn't an option, it had to work. And that's kind of how I approached everything. It has to work. If you're gonna put your mind to it, you just make it work. They box the parts and then put the wrong part number on and send it without.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take care of that. Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. You doing all right?
Okay,
high five.
Like my box.
Yeah.
There's 8 of those door bars and 2 bumpers in there. It was only $87 to send it up to me versus sending them all separate.
Nice. So. Tough. Oh, it's, you know, I'm not a businessman. I don't have a degree in business. I grew up, my family owned a business and I was exposed to that. But most of it is learning as you go, and usually you learn from the mistake, not before it happens, right? So it's a matter of minimizing those. So and the bigger you get and the more people that are involved and the more transactions that take place, it gets more and more challenging. It doesn't get easier, it gets more challenging.
Good idea.
My week from, you know, first thing Monday morning to really my weekend Sunday. You know, I get here between 6 and 6:30 every morning, and I am here till whenever it's a good place for me to stop. I don't want to tackle a new challenge, or I just can't physically concentrate anymore. And I'll have days that you feel like you got your arms around it and you know what you're doing, and then you'll have days like, you know, how did I get to this? Like, there could have been a better choice in life than what I'm dealing with right now. But it's all in all, you know, I take a large amount of pride, or feel a large amount of pride in being able to provide an environment that people can plan lives around and buy their first cars or first houses or raise a family or have health insurance. And I enjoy the challenge of running the business. It's much like working on race cars. You make a change and you see how it performs, and you make a change and you see how it performs. And with the goal always being to be the best one. So that's the mentality I have growing up. That's how I approach running the business. So yeah, like racing, there's an awful lot of times you're very disappointed. So there's plenty of times throughout the week that in any given week that you're very high and feel really good about things, and very frustrated and disappointed and wondering, questioning life's choices. But I guess that's everybody.
It definitely took some thought, more between just kind of like me, my stepdad, a couple buddies, uncles, just more on the racing side of it, to figure out like what is going to be the best for us to transfer the information faster back home. And I've always, since I was a kid getting into racing, I've always kind of wanted to come down here, because realistically where I'm at, you get to race 3 months out of the year. So I mean, you only get that short period of time. So when we fully made the decision, it was easy to get down here, but it took getting used to, you know, kind of not being around people you know and trying to get to know people. But coming here, I came here probably a month and a half after I moved down here and started, you know, helping around the shop, getting to know people. So that kind of, it made things smoother for me. Definitely the biggest learning curve for me, are just stuff to wrap my head around, is how fast the racing world changes. You know, I consider ourselves, like where I'm from, realistically, we're like 4 years behind, almost. You know, before I moved down here. Now I'm able to get stuff that is happening day after day, the newest inventions, you know, all that stuff back home. So it kind of makes stuff easier, but it was interesting to see how fast stuff changes. I guess I came more with the racing. You know, I didn't really think about school right away, but then I realized that it only helped. So yeah, I enjoy it. Like, school's not bad. I mean, I'd rather be racing, but I do enjoy going to school. I'd like to be right here, to be honest with you. I've always had, you know, that dream of going to NASCAR and all that stuff, but I've definitely found like a homecoming here. You know, I enjoy the short track community, the stuff that's going on there right now. So I definitely see myself with a short track team, like a super late model team, or hopefully here. I guess growing up watching like Mark Martin and Harvick when he was at RCR, and Kenseth and Biffle and all those guys, I was like into it, because that's what we did on Sundays. You watch a race, you know. So at that point, it probably pushed me a little more to that. But then once I started getting in, doing our stuff with our own car and getting to see how big the short track community really is, it didn't, I don't think it changed my view. It just made me respect more what people at this stage don't get. You know, they don't get the show for it, really.
Do you have any regrets about moving down here? Or moving away from home, period?
Not one.
Friends who had moved down here before I did kind of got involved with racing and got my interest in it. One of them actually worked at the same car dealership I did, just not at the exact same time. So he would come home, we would talk, you know, those kind of things, and said to give it a try. The NASCAR thing was always first and foremost, I guess, in my mind, because that's what you watched on TV. Our local racing was kind of small on the smaller scales. So that's what really got me to come down here. It's been over 25 years now. So it's, I've actually lived down in North Carolina now longer than I did in Pennsylvania by a year. That's how I always kind of remember it. It was about 50-50, but this I now say is home. That's where I was born. That's kind of how I call it now. Early 2000s. I was there for 12 years. I started out on the parts counter, and then when they really split the two shops, I was the parts manager for the 5. It wound up being the 5 and 24 teams for the last probably 9 years of that, I would say. And that changed hands. It was the 88 car was there for a while. It was the 525 when I started. So they did a lot of building shuffling around, you know, while I was there. I'm also gonna have Dustin get with you next week about trying to get some, you know, DRP has those scallop tubes. We need long tubes from the shock hoop down to the bumper bar.
Yeah, where he made those little extensions.
Oh, did he already make them?
Yeah, they actually turned out pretty
Okay,
nice.
well then maybe you don't have to then, because it was my only other alternative of,
Yeah.
they'll make you those scallop ones, whatever lengths that you want, and that way we wouldn't have had to make something, because Matt welded up all our bumper rods so all the ends are gone. So I can't make a longer set because all the bushings are done. If it's something you're more interested in, you have more, I guess, reason to remember it. I won't remember what I had for dinner last week a lot of times, you know, but I can remember what slug a certain spindle takes from 10 years ago, and I couldn't even tell you why. It's just kind of something that just sticks with you after a while when you do it so often in a row. Even weekly racing, we have a lot of customers that run your Saturday night short tracks, not touring series guys, and I pay attention to a lot of that. Car counts for the most part look well. Tire situations and things like that can kind of affect it, but there are certain tracks who have grown leaps and bounds in their weekly classes, which is great, and that also does help the touring things out as well, because guys will venture out, especially at the end of the years and all, when their point seasons and all are done, and can move around. But the big event races, for the most part anymore, the fields are looking good. There's quality people there again, very good equipment. Years ago there was a pretty big separation from front to the back. Now there's not. You know, everybody pretty much has the same type of stuff, and it's always that little bit that kind of separates them.
And do you think that what's happening in NASCAR, both on the team side and the spectator side, the route that sport is going, do you see that helping short track racing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the video coverage that the short tracks and all get help a lot too. There's people in areas that don't have a short track close enough to them, but if they can watch it on TV, and it may spark their interest to go on a weekend trip, you know, road trip somewhere. Or like me and my wife, we go to a lot of different tracks during the course of the year, and we might pick somewhere that is somewhere scenic, and if I can go to a track within an hour of that or something, you know, we kind of kill two birds with one stone thing. And I can see more and more people doing that because of the action is so close. You can watch everything, it's side by side. You know, the big tracks, everybody gets so strung out, and it's not really much to watch. So I think it's more affordable. Cup tickets are expensive. You know, you usually had to be there for a whole weekend. If you can drive somewhere on a Saturday and watch a race and head back home, you know, you get the entertainment value for not the big dollar amount. Damn, I didn't want to do while you were drilling. Don't forget about that clip. Yeah, good. Like a Super Bird or a 57 Nomad would probably rank pretty high up on there, I would say. Yeah, both of those might not quite be obtainable, but yeah, I was always a big fan of either one of those.
People don't realize I wasn't hired here for what I do.
Okay, I'll explain that.
I was hired as a chassis builder.
And you came from, did you come from Robbie Gordon here?
Yeah. And I didn't build chassis at Robbie's.
What did you do there?
Suspension.
Okay.
Built suspension.
But
Hold on, let's go back. Let's start this. Cut. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. We were running dirt cars and we needed to build some new body panels. It's all sheet metal stuff, one-off parts, no templates involved. Rule books is just this is the box, stay in it. We needed some new body panels, and I basically told my dad, I said I could do that. One thing led to another, and I think we traded a old Burt transmission for a sheet metal brake, and that's where it began. Northeast Ohio is tough to make a living racing though, and I realized that I wasn't going to do it in that area. So I went to school for welding, got certified to weld pipe, got certified in aerospace welding applications. The aerospace application really transferred over to motorsports. There's really no certification that you can do for motorsports in my eyes because there isn't a code for it. I think the aerospace is more of a probably the closest comparison to motorsports as far as welding applications goes that you can have. Going through my aerospace applications and my certifications, I realized that I enjoyed TIG welding more, and how can I transfer this into the pipe welding aspect, because I kind of got tired of stick welding all the time and found myself getting certified for nuclear pipelines and stuff like that, nuclear weldments, and that had more of a precision side to the application, and I really enjoyed that aspect. Common theme here is I really like to get precise with what I'm doing is hanging a body, a skill, or an art form. I think the precision of it, there's a dichotomy to both. You've got to fit the templates. How can we cheat it to where we're still within tolerance of the templates but getting the most advantage out of it? And you be creative in your skill, creative in your craft. The art form of it is, are your rivets in a straight line? Simple stuff like that it adds quite a bit of time to the process, but let's face it, beauty sells. You know, the fiberglass parts of the body that come straight out of the mold, you know, like I cut all my windshield beds out, shave them all down. Sure, you could say it's for saving weight, but it's so I can sleep at night. Probably go to my house right now and realize that might not be anybody that lives here because it's clean, right? And I transfer that to my work, right? I like my jobs to look clean when they're done. They're neat. I think that's the art side of that. So my passion for archery comes mainly for the outdoors. I enjoy hunting, I enjoy fishing, but aside from the success side of hunting, the serenity of it. Archery season's quiet, it's peaceful, it's fall, you can sit up there and overlook the mountains, leaves are changing, you get out there in early morning hours before the sun comes up and you wake up with the forest. Aside from the hunting, just shooting archery, it's kind of like a meditation to me. It's when my peep sight eclipses with my front sight housing, that's my sole focus. You can have a conversation with me and I'm not going to hear you. It's not that I don't want to hear you, it's that I can't hear you. My focus is on what I'm doing. It's my form of Zen.